接下来在这2个单元，让我们一起来解析几个非常经典的面试问题，来听听问题背后的意义，跟要怎么回答才能打动面试官。Hello， 欢迎来到 Executive Plus 主管与沟通力的 Podcast。I'm Sherry, an educator, certified coach, and style enthusiast. 我相信专业有效的沟通是语言跟逻辑的完美结合。
And I'm Nick, a startup consultant, corporate trainer, and late-night gaming junkie. I believe great communication requires the right mindset and solid frameworks.
我们希望带给大家职场英语的技能、跨文化沟通技巧与其他能帮助您成为出色领导者的工具。
Join us each week as we share our experience, research, and methodologies to take your communication and language skills from good to great. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Executive Plus podcast. In part 2 of our 3-part interview series, we're going to look at some of the classic interview questions. What do they mean? Why do they get asked? And what's the mindset and structure of answering these questions? So we're going to start with a very classic question of, why are you applying? This is a really critical question because it quickly weeds out people who didn't look at the job description or don't know what the company does versus those who actually put the time into it.
Yeah, so why are you applying for this job? 我相信我们只要去面试的话，应该都会马上问这个问题。那可能第一个问题都是啦 Tell me about yourself, right? 但是 Tell me about yourself 我们在第167集的时候我们就已经有带到了这种 self-introduction. So, why are you applying for the job? 我们就来看看到底这个真正的问题是什么东西。Interviewer 他们想知道的是 What can you do that we need you to do? Or do you even know what we're doing here in this company?
And I think that second question is probably the more critical, which is there's a shocking amount of people who don't research. And by research, I don't mean just like open up the landing page of the website and go, yeah, I roughly know what they need to do. Especially if you're looking at a higher, even a mid-level to upper management position, understanding what has the CEO said about the company in interviews, what kind of articles have come out about the initiatives or agendas of the company. This matters because it really is, do you know what we're doing? Do you know where we're trying to go?
So in this book by James Reed, 那他就讲到一个蛮有趣的点是，很多人去找工作的时候，他没有想到，其实你现在要去是帮老板解决问题。你老板，你可以把它想成，你老板现在好像是在路旁，然后他的车子坏掉了，但他需要人来帮他修车子。You think about that.你的老板并不是那种好像在路旁他有所有的零件然后等着你来拿 Actually, he or she is looking for someone to solve the problem for them. When they ask you, why are you applying for the job? They really just wanted to know that 你真的能不能够帮助他们 How do you fit into this job requirement specifically? So there are some techniques is that you need to really reflect the job description in your answer. 也就是你在回答问题的时候，你一定要能够讲得出来，诶，这个 job description 到底是要求什么
In the end, you need to talk about what their needs are before you talk about your own needs. So in the self-introduction, we talked about Wi-Fi. What's in it for you? That's the same process here. It's not, why do I want this job? They're asking the questions like, why are you applying? But it's more along the lines of, what am I here to do for you?
Yeah.一个很简单的一个句子好了，虽然我们一直在跟大家讲说没有一个模板，没有一个句型，但是你基本上你要 hit 3个重点，也就是 I'm applying because my skills, experience, and motivation, they're best fit for the job. 所以3个东西，你的 skill, 你的经验，还有你的 motivation, 这3个重点是非常的重要的。
Sherry, you actually put together a quick example that would show how to answer this application. Now, this is not a template or a formula that people should follow, but it gives you a sense of how am I tying these things, my skills, experience, and motivation, to specific line items inside the job description. And I think this is important that when you apply for the job, look at the line items when they're like ideal experience or preferred experience, even down to like the company description where like, this is what we care about. Anytime that you can tie one of those directly back to a skill set, experience, or motivation, that immediately makes someone go, oh, they actually read this thing.
Right. So as an example, let's say 今天我要 interview 这个公司，他们要找的是 OK， 这个是 advertisement 的一个 position， 他要找的是一个 manager position， 他这个 manager 能够去训练很多人。那再来呢，这个公司本身他们现在非常的注重环保。Those are the keys that you have to hit with your answer. So your answer can be, when I read the job opening, I knew immediately that my skill sets in advertising would fit in this position and what the company needs. I would also like to develop my training skills in advertising furthermore in the future at this company. I've worked with and trained 100 employees so far on how to work with clients and help them to promote themselves. I would love to put my knowledge to use here. I really enjoy working at the current company, but I know I have much more to offer at your company. Your commitment to the environment aligns well with the major work I've done with corporate groups to become more sustainable.
So again, if we go back and analyze that answer and compare it to perhaps certain skill sets required. So skill. You talk a lot about developing training skills or the experience of training people.
Right.
So definitely the assumption here is somewhere inside this job application, there's probably a lot talking about, okay, you either need to train or you need to oversee a large team. So immediately incorporating in that, it was like, okay, my training skills in advertising are important. So specifically, the ability to train people and the experience of training people are key to what you're doing. And then we get into that section about personal motivation, which is, I enjoy my current company, but something I'm very passionate about is sustainability. So tying it back to maybe the corporate has made some commitment or pledge to becoming more environmentally friendly or changing their practices, this immediately ties in. So all three of those things, skills, experience, and motivations are tied into this answer.
所以不管你是要怎么样去回答这个问题，只要注意你这几点重点要达到，而且这个重点是要跟这个 job description 是完全相关的，我觉得就好了。所以没有一个特定的模板或者特定的句型，在这个地方我们就是要注意这几个重点。So let's talk about the answers that employers do not want to hear when they're asking, why are you applying for the job?
Obviously, one's is money. That doesn't mean 100% you can never talk about salary or motivation of money, but it's a very short-term goal. Now, if you're a salesperson, that might be a little bit different. Whereas, again, you're out there like, I'm going to hustle hard and make you a lot of money and I intend to get compensated. But money is not really the primary motivation, because if we go back to that characteristic idea from the last episode, loyalty is important.
Yeah.
But if you're there for money, anyone who pays you more money is an option for leaving, right?
And I think it's because why are you applying for the job? 通常是第一、第二个问题, right? In the interview process, you don't really want to bring out money right away. Money is always something that you talk about later on in the interview, maybe the second round interview. 所以为什么这个问题不应该有这个答案，是因为太早了，真的太早了。当然每个人都需要钱， That's why we're working, we need money to survive. 但是呢，你让面试官所感受到的而是你太急，你只想要钱。And yeah, definitely not the right place to talk about that. And another one is, I want to apply here because there are a lot of vacation days. I don't think anyone wants to hear that.
If anyone listened to our episode talking about Schitt's Creek, where there's a great part where one of the main characters asks her boss how many 2-week vacations she gets.
Yes.
It's not a great question.
No. And also another one, 我有听过还蛮多在台湾可能刚刚毕业的学生有时候会回答是 This is closer to home. 离家很近，变成是他为什么要 apply? Okay, 那我觉得对于一个 employer 来讲 again, this is a very short term. What if you find somewhere that's even closer?
Right. Or what happens if your family moves? Now we're gone. I mean, I have heard people talk about, it's like, oh, I moved back here to be closer to my family, etc. That can be a good motivation, but you need to tie that to something else. It can't just be like, well, yeah, my parents are getting older, so I have to move back and be close to them. Maybe your employee goes, oh, good, he's compassionate, or they care about their family. This is important. But it also gets into, okay, does that mean that, you know, you're going to have to go home every day exactly on time? But if you tie it to other things, be like, I really loved my last company. I was rising in there. I loved what they were doing. But, you know, due to some family health issues, I needed to move home. Yet it was still really important for me to find a company who I could be as passionate or as dedicated to. Now I'm tying my personal motivations back to the company. I'm not just doing it because, hey, family's here.
那当然这几个最大的问题是因为这些答案跟对方一点关系都没有，跟这个 interviewer 跟这个公司跟这些 job description 一点关系都没有。So it's really not about them anymore, right? So again, just really pay attention when you're answering a question, what's in it for them? What's in it for the company and the interviewer?
If you enjoyed our breakdown of how to answer this classic question, join us in the next episode where we tackle 2 other classic questions in our 3-part interview series. We'll see you guys there.
Bye.
Bye.
The Executive Plus podcast is a Presentality Group production, produced and hosted by Sherry Fang and Nick Howard. You can search us on Facebook, 主管英文 Executive Plus. You can also find us on Instagram, Communication R&D, and email us at sherry@epstyleplus.com.